In today's interview, Elon Musk says that some advertisers that paused spending on X last month are already returning to the platform. Exactly as I expected and exactly as I pointed out yesterday, I think, when I saw Netflix returning to advertise on X. Farzad has a really good post here. X has already won. Elon Musk closed the acquisition of Twitter, now X, in October of 2022. Feels like it was just yesterday. Once that deal was closed, a bunch of advertisers left the platform out of fear of their brands being impacted by the new freedom of speech rules that X was looking to implement. The premise was that ads would be shown next to content that advertisers don't want to be associated with, and because X would now allow more improper content, the chances of having a negative ad experience could increase. By the way, whenever I see an ad anywhere, almost always, unless it's the thing that I want to buy, which is very rare, it's always a negative experience. So all of the people that see your ads, generally, they already have a negative experience. So this doesn't really change much. It's only bad if there is negative media attention about your company because you're advertising on the platform. The negative attention is not from the ad itself. It's from media saying you should not advertise, and that potentially damages your brand. That's where the problem is, I think, mostly. After leaving the platform for a few weeks, almost all advertisers have come back. This is last year, albeit with lower ad spends. However, earlier this year, X gave guidance that the platform is near cash flow neutral minus debt obligations. This means that even though the platform has suffered losses in terms of ad revenue, the company is close to being self-sufficient. In other words, no outside cash has to be brought into the company to keep it alive as long as the trend continues, which I believe it will. Not only will it continue, I believe, at some point, it will actually accelerate. The revenue will accelerate. Fast forward a few months, and after controversial comments made by Elon and an effort by Media Matters to encourage advertisers to boycott the platform, advertisers left again. However, just like the first time, after a few weeks, advertisers are beginning to come back. There's confirmation that Netflix is back, and other advertisers are coming back again, as we just learned from Elon. Farzad says, I think all of this points to something quite clear. The Overton window is beginning to shift, and with it, a massively profitable endeavor for advertisers. The Overton window is a term used to express what is acceptable to be discussed in a given time period. If you compare what is acceptable to be discussed on X today versus what was acceptable on Twitter pre-acquisition, you can very clearly see that the acceptable topics are much more diverse and plentiful. Absolutely. This means that the Overton window has shifted. Another example of this is also on YouTube, and I think Farzad makes a really good point here. A few days ago, Mario hosted a space with Elon Musk, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, and other folks discussing Alex's reinstatement and a bunch of other topics. These topics, pre-acquisition, would not be admissible under Twitter's former rules. What's really interesting is that after making this edited content available on YouTube, which got millions of views, I think now all of these clips got millions of views, YouTube has not taken down the content from the platform, which is okay, but that's sort of expected. But more importantly, it allowed to monetize the content. That is a big deal. It is 1.4 million views. You put together all of these clips, it's definitely millions and millions and millions of views. And this is important because this implies that advertisers are now becoming comfortable advertising on content that they were not comfortable with in the past. What does this mean for X? It's quite simple. X's willingness to stand for free speech, even then the CEO makes statements that caused the business to temporarily lose revenues, creating a brand new market for advertisers that previously did not exist, precisely due to an unwillingness to embrace freedom of speech. And make no mistake, the temporary loss of revenue in the moment does not seem temporary at all. Elon was talking about bankruptcy. It looked permanent from the outside, at least to some degree, certainly. And because X's entire approach has been to uphold freedom of speech and accept the repercussions that come with it, the platform has positioned itself as the premier place for content that will be generated on this principle. And I have zero fear of being banned on X. But when I speak about something on YouTube, at least until now, I was like, oh, will this get me in trouble? Just mentioning Alex Jones, will it get me in trouble? Just mentioning Andrew Tate, will it get me in trouble? And my answer to that question was, if it gets me in trouble, so be it. I'll just go on X and I will blast YouTube till the day I die, was my thinking. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy that YouTube is making this move. I'm happy with it. This same content is a market that advertisers have had zero access to in the past because of the unwillingness of platforms to embrace freedom of speech and the skittishness of ad agencies to sully their brands with controversial topics. On top of this, it's a market that is untapped, which will generate billions of views and billions of dollars for creators and advertisers alike. I like that. I do not suspect we will see another advertisers boycott in the future because of this dynamic. I disagree with that. I think it will happen multiple times on X, but each time it's just going to be less and less significant. It's going to be, it's just another one of those. There are going to be some people that will constantly complain about these things that Elon will say, and then some advertisers will leave for a day, and then they will come back the next day spending maybe even more money because Twitter/X will get bigger and there's more advertising spots to buy. I don't think it will have any meaningful effect going forward, because you can only use that weapon so many times. Oh, we're leaving. Oh, but you came back. So it doesn't mean anything when you say you leave, because you just come back always. It's losing. They are losing their power. But even regardless of that, I think Farzad does have a point that it's less likely to happen now going forward. I do not suspect we will see another advertisers boycott in the future because of this dynamic. There's way too much money to be made, and now that the Overton window has shifted to where the public is now comfortable with listening to dissenting and controversial opinions, advertisers will be tripping over themselves to advertise on X over the long term. In my opinion, people respect the notion of being allowed to think for themselves, and because this has been subdued for far too long, there will be an avalanche of interest for content that is specifically challenging and controversial. Oh, that's 100% right. Ultimately, this will be massively profitable for advertisers due to the engagement and attention it will receive from the public. Farzad is also right here. I posited when Elon bought the platform that X would win if they could make freedom of speech profitable, and I think we are starting to see glimpses of this being the case. For a moment, can we just appreciate all of the goodness that Elon Musk has done here, also introducing community nodes? That's a big change. So let's have a moment of silence for all of these Elon Musk skeptics, haters, enemies that said that Twitter is not even going to survive after Elon takes over. My recommendation to them is to grow food themselves. Or like and subscribe so that you can see my future videos. That way you stay informed and you don't make stupid decisions and you don't have these flawed ideas. To me, from day one, it was abundantly clear that eventually Elon Musk will turn Twitter into something wildly successful, and we are seeing the first glimpses of that. X users are spending more time on X than before, and that's the most important metric. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode.